Hi folks, how are you all? So here we are back on YouTube again, and also, but this will probably eventually go on to Facebook group, the Chatter House as well. Sorry I haven't been on much, folks, doing reactions and things at the moment. There's been a lot going on. As you know, we had a toy appeal there recently, so there's been a load of things happening, so I just haven't had time to do anything. Plus, Madame Lillian's been keeping me busy as well. But tonight we are going to look, well, we've been manoeuvring the seat here. Tonight we are going to look at a bit of food. We're not going to react to music tonight, no. Tonight we're going to look at some food, and the title of this video is called 15 Forgotten Sandwiches True British People Would Only Remember. So let's have a bit of a look at these sandwiches and see how many we actually do remember. Okay, so let's get the old earphones on, and let's get the video up. And I've just hit the mic there. I do apologise. You can tell I'm out of practice. So here we go. Oh, it's a sandwich. What I'd love to know is if you're having a sandwich. Now, I just don't mean. I mean a sandwich, like say for instance, you were at friends' houses, or you were making sandwiches. Do you keep your crusts on? Do you take your crusts off? Because I see a couple of sandwiches in that photograph there. There's some crusts off. Let me know in the comments. So let's have a look at this and see what it comes up with. So here we go. I know I'm going to be starving at the end of this now. I'm only after my tea too. So let's have a look.
Remember when a sandwich didn't need avocado, sriracha mayo, or 20 quid to make you happy?
Exactly.
From the butty that powered factory shifts to the sugar sandwich that got you through the afternoon, these humble creations tell the story of working-class Britain, now forgotten to an era when simplicity wasn't just a choice, it was a necessity. But here's the controversial bit. Most of these sandwiches would be considered borderline neglectful by today's helicopter parents. Yet somehow, we all survived.
Yes, we did. And I just seen the sugar sandwich there. Now, obviously, you know by my accent, I'm from Northern Ireland, which is Belfast. I just live outside Belfast. So we used to have, it's a very, very old-fashioned thing that they used to make years and years ago. And I think generally it was because people couldn't afford to make certain things. And it was called a minera. A minera was bread sprinkled with sugar and more milk. Now, I have never had it personally, but I do remember my dad more so talking about it because he's from Belfast. Mum was from Lisburn here where I'm from. But Belfast, this minera was apparently very popular back in the 50s, 60s, and maybe earlier. I've never tried it, and I think it's odd, even the thought of it, you know. But this is what they did. If they didn't have anything else, you just got what you were given, and that was the end of it, you know. So let's carry on. It's big chip butter. Ooh.
Let's start with Britain's most iconic carb-on-carb creation. Chip butty originated in northern England during the 1860s, with its earliest documented form appearing at Mr. Lee's in Oldham, Lancashire, where it was sold as a chip balm. The word butty comes from Yorkshire slang for butter, though Liverpool also claims the term. This was
Now, I didn't know that the butty, I thought the butty was just short for sandwich. I didn't know it actually was a different name for the butter. Didn't know that. See, you learn something new every day.
ingenuity at its finest, providing essential fuel for factory workers and miners who needed cheap, portable energy. The beauty lies in magnificent simplicity. Thick-cut chips piled between soft white bread slathered with salted butter. Salt and malt vinegar are non-negotiable, though regional variations introduced curry sauce, gravy, or mushy peas.
No.
A 2022 Nottingham Trent University study determined the ideal chip butty contained exactly 12.
Hang on a minute. Do you know what I laugh at? It's in this, and I'm not being nasty here. I don't be thinking of being ignorant, but a university is made to make a decision on what is the most popular chip butty, and then people in there are getting paid for that. Who pays for this? The country's supposed to be in rack and ruin, and they're looking into chip buddies. I'm afraid I'd be putting the money somewhere more important. Stuart, you are becoming a Grinch. As you know, Christmas is coming up, and I hate it. But it's true, though, you know what I mean?
12 chips. Food writer Tim Hayward recommended using undistinguished soft white bread. The sandwich became deeply embedded in British culture, with Kate Fox noting it was about as working class as food can get. Today, over 10,000 chip shops still serve this masterpiece, though some posh establishments charge nearly £9 for elevated versions.
I'm going to have to cover the mic here. Wow, £9 for a chip, buddy? I wouldn't think so. Maybe £4.50 at the most. I think that's the most I've ever paid, but not £9, never.
If carbs on carbs sounds extreme, wait until you hear about the sandwich that was basically just seasoning between bread. The crisp sandwich represents British innovation, taking a complete snack food and sandwiching it between bread. This wasn't haute cuisine, this was resourcefulness bordering on genius. The crisp sandwich became particularly popular during the 1970s and 1980s when families needed to stretch food budgets and kids learned to fend for themselves after school. The standard construction involved buttered white bread with a generous layer of crisps, typically ready salted, cheese and onion, or salt and vinegar. The technique mattered. You had to press down slightly to crack the crisps, but not turn them to dust.
No.
The best versions created a textural symphony where soft bread contrasted with crispy shards.
There's tato, cheese and onion. I see that tato, cheese and onion, folks, in that picture. I'll talk about the bread in a minute. That tato, cheese and onion is Southern Irish tato, cheese and onion and salt and vinegar. You know by the packaging, even though tato is Irish, it comes from two variations. You've got Tandragee. Is it Tandragee Castle? There's a castle here. Oh, up here anyway. And then you've got the version down south. So they, even though they've both got the same brand names, the crisps are different. And that's Brennan's bread, which is from here as well, I think. Brennan's bread is very traditional bread. It's actually served in that greasy sort of loaf paper that we used to get years ago. The only thing about Brennan's bread is it doesn't keep very long. That's one thing I've noticed anyway. If you disagree, put it in the comments.
The crisp sandwich became a staple for latchkey kids. It required no cooking skills, minimal supervision, and used ingredients that wouldn't spoil. Parents working long shifts could leave bread and crisps knowing their children wouldn't starve or burn the house down. Whether your family bought Walker's or supermarket own brand, everyone understood the crisp sandwich.
Absolutely.
Speaking of sandwiches that would horrify modern nutritionists, let's talk about one that was literally just butter and sugar. The sugar sandwich sounds like something from a Roald Dahl fever dream, but it was a genuine tea-time staple in British households throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. This wasn't dessert, this was fuel. During the mid-1800s, as industrialisation transformed Britain, sugar became a vital, cheap source of quick energy. With both parents often working from the mid-1850s onwards, traditional home cooking declined as families shifted toward convenience eating. Making a sugar sandwich required minimal skill. Butter 2 slices of white bread, sprinkle granulated sugar generously, then sandwich them together. Some used brown sugar for richer flavour, whilst others added milk to help the sugar stick. The sugar would crunch between your teeth before dissolving into sweetness. The prevalence of sugar sandwiches reflected broader economic realities. Fast-burning carbohydrate foods like bread and potatoes dominated diets, leaving people vulnerable to malnourishment. Sugar's high-calorie content made it an excellent energy source when meat was portioned unequally within families. The sugar sandwich represented survival masquerading as a treat. If you think sugar sandwiches were odd, the next one proves Brits would put literally anything between bread. The banana sandwich occupies a peculiar place in British culinary history. During World War II and rationing that lasted until 1954, bananas vanished from British shops entirely. An entire generation grew up never having seen one. When bananas finally returned in the early 1950s, they were treated with almost reverence. The classic British banana sandwich followed a simple formula: sliced banana between buttered white bread. Some families added jam or honey, whilst others kept it pure. The banana's natural sweetness and soft texture made it particularly appealing to children, and its portability made it ideal for school lunchboxes.
I used to love a banana sandwich. I used to love bananas. But I don't know what it is. I have irritable bowel syndrome, and I don't know if it's anything to do with that. But see, if I eat bananas, I'll guarantee you within an hour I have severe cramps in my stomach. I mean, they're so severe. you think you're going to have to go to the hospital. I don't know what. I don't know if it's something in the bananas. I used to be able to eat them when I was younger, when I was a child, or when I was growing up in my teenage life, but now I just can't eat bananas at all. And you know something? I love an banana. That doesn't sound very good, but you know what I mean? I love the now banana.
Unlike Americans who combine bananas with peanut butter, Brits stuck with butter. What made the banana sandwich particularly British was its connection to post-war recovery and changing class dynamics. Fresh fruit in sandwiches signalled a departure from purely utilitarian eating towards something aspirational. By the 1960s and 1970s, banana sandwiches appeared across all social classes. Healthy without being pretentious. From sweet bananas to something far more refined, the next sandwich was afternoon tea's most famous contribution. The cucumber sandwich represents...
Definitely not. Cutty cucumber kills me full of heartburn, upsets my stomach, can't eat it. Boke. By the way, anybody in England, boke means sick. No.
The polar opposite. This was genteel, refined and utterly middle class. Cucumber sandwiches became synonymous with British afternoon tea culture during the Victorian era, when the Duchess of Bedford established the tradition in the 1840s. These delicate triangles became the hallmark of respectable tea parties. The construction bordered on ritual. The bread had to be white and sliced thin as paper. Real butter, never margarine, applied sparingly. The cucumber needed peeling and slicing with translucent precision, then salted and drained. The assembled sandwiches were cut into triangles with crusts removed, kept under damp tea towels until serving. The result was extraordinarily subtle, more texture than flavour. Cucumber sandwiches weren't meant to fill you up. They were meant to demonstrate that you didn't need filling up. The sandwich became a class marker, appearing in everything from Oscar Wilde's plays to countless British films. Those from modest backgrounds viewed them with suspicion. Why waste good bread on waterlogged vegetables? From tea party refinement to tinned meat practicality, our next sandwich kept Britain fed through dark times. Spam sandwiches tell the story of Britain during wartime rationing, when tinned meat became a protein lifeline. Introduced through American Lend-Lease during World War II, Spam quickly became ubiquitous despite its questionable reputation. Fresh meat was heavily rationed, but Spam was plentiful, shelf-stable, and packed with protein and fat. By the war's end, Brits had consumed over 40 million tins.
Does anybody remember spam fritter in their school dinners? By the way, I think spam is actually, you still get spam, but I think it's actually the posh terminology for it now is chopped ham and pork.
The Spam sandwich came in numerous variations. Sliced cold with mustard represented the basic version. Some families fried their Spam until the edges crisped. Others mixed it with pickle, onion or salad cream to mask the distinctive tinned taste. The sandwich appeared everywhere. Factory canteens, school lunches, picnics, tea times throughout the 1940s and 1950s. For those who lived through rationing, it represented both survival and deprivation. Yet Spam sandwiches persisted into the 1970s and 1980s, particularly where frugality remained paramount. Monty Python famously satirised Britain's Spam obsession in their 1970 sketch, turning canned meat into a cultural punchline. While Spam divided opinion, the next spread created tribal warfare that continues to this day. The Bovril and mashed potato sandwich sounds like something invented during a dare.
Hang on a minute, Lillian, you're not on, you go to your own channel. Bovril and mashed potato sandwich. I've never heard of it. Must be an English thing. I have never heard of it.
But it was actually a genuine wartime creation born from necessity and ingenuity. Bovril, invented in the 1870s by Scottish butcher John Lawson Johnston, was a concentrated beef extract that became a store cupboard staple during rationing. When dripping ran out, that precious beef fat used for spreading on bread, families discovered that mashing Bovril into leftover potatoes created something remarkably similar in taste and satisfaction. The technique was straightforward, but crucial. You take cold mashed potato, mix in a generous scraping of Bovril until the paste turned slightly darker and took on that distinctive beefy, salty flavour, then spread it between buttered bread. The combination provided warmth, protein, and that meaty richness that rationing had made scarce. During both World Wars, Bovril was valued for its vitamin B content and ability to stretch limited meat rations. The sandwich became a clever workaround when the Sunday roast dripping tin sat empty, but the Bovril jar remained faithfully in the cupboard. These sandwiches became particularly associated with making do during food shortages. Bovril itself had strong connections to British survival.
I'd have starved.
Ernest Shackleton's team survived on Bovril tea when marooned on Elephant Island, and nurses in field hospitals dispensed it to wounded soldiers. The mashed potato version brought that same spirit of resilience to ordinary kitchen tables. By 1888, over 3,000 UK public houses, grocers and chemists were selling Bovril. The sandwich represented that peculiarly British talent for transforming humble leftovers into something surprisingly satisfying. From intensely savoury to surprisingly sweet, the next sandwich showed just how far British tastes could stretch. The Marmite sandwich represents one of
From one extreme to another.
Britain's most divisive culinary traditions. You either grew up embracing this dark, sticky yeast extract or thought the whole thing was utterly mental. Marmite was created in 1902 when the Marmite Food Company was founded in Burton upon Trent, Staffordshire, strategically located near the Bass Brewery. German scientist Justus von der Liebig had discovered that brewer's yeast, a byproduct of beer brewing, could be concentrated and eaten, and Marmite commercialised this peculiar discovery into a household staple. Marmite became part of soldiers' ration packs during the First World War, valued for its high vitamin B content when nutrition was scarce. In the 1930s, English scientist Lucy Wills used Marmite to successfully treat anemia in mill workers in Bombay, later identifying folic acid as the active ingredient. The spread became so iconic that its love it or hate it slogan entered British vocabulary as shorthand for anything polarising. Originally sold in earthenware pots, the distinctive bulbous glass jars arrived in the 1920s and remain virtually unchanged. The
I want to say something. A friend of mine used to get potatoes and parboil them and then cover them with Marmite and roast them in the oven. Now, that was nice. They were called mini mers. That was absolutely lovely. But oh no, anything else, forget it.
Marmite sandwich was never about subtle flavour. It was about declaring allegiance to one of Britain's most controversial spreads. While Marmite took dairy devotion to extreme levels, the next sandwich showed just how far British sweetness could stretch.
Oh.
The condensed milk sandwich sounds like something invented by sugar-crazed children, but it was actually a genuine sandwich born from necessity. Condensed milk, introduced in the mid-19th century, became a store cupboard staple because it didn't require refrigeration and lasted indefinitely. During both World Wars and rationing years, fresh milk was often unavailable or strictly controlled. Creating a condensed milk sandwich required a light touch. You'd butter 2 slices of bread, then carefully spread condensed milk. Too much and it would ooze out and make an incredible mess. Some families thinned the condensed milk slightly with regular milk. The result was extraordinarily sweet, sticky, and oddly satisfying. Children particularly loved these sandwiches, though adults often found them cloying. The condensed milk sandwich became associated with childhood treats and making do with limited resources.
I'm sure diabetes was rife. I'm sure it was rife, all them sugar sandwiches, bloody condensed milk sandwiches.
It appeared at children's parties, as after-school snacks, and during lean weeks before payday. Nutritionally questionable by modern standards, essentially sugar and fat. It nonetheless provided quick energy and comfort to generations of British kids. From one controversial spread to another, the next sandwich featured a condiment that defined British taste.
Salad cream.
The salad cream sandwich represents a peculiarly British relationship with this tangy, mustardy condiment that Americans find baffling. Salad cream, distinctly different from mayonnaise with its sharper, more acidic flavour, became a store cupboard essential throughout the 20th century. As a sandwich filling, it emerged during the post-war era, when families sought ways to add moisture and flavour to dry sandwiches without expensive ingredients. The basic salad cream sandwich involved buttered bread with generous spreading of the yellow-white condiment, sometimes with added lettuce, tomato or cucumber if available. More elaborate versions incorporated grated cheese, thinly sliced ham, or hard-boiled eggs, but the truly British iteration kept it simple. The appeal lay in that distinctive acidic bite that mayonnaise couldn't replicate. Children either loved or despised it. Salad cream sandwiches became particularly associated with Heinz, which dominated the market. The sandwich embodied British pragmatism. By the 1990s, mayonnaise began displacing salad cream. Heinz nearly discontinued salad cream in 2018 before public outcry forced them to reconsider. While salad cream added tang, the next sandwich combined two powerhouse ingredients that screamed British cooking.
Sorry, I'm not saying much here, but I'm just mesmerised. Oh, that's nice. I like this now.
The corned beef and pickle sandwich represents British resourcefulness at its finest, combining tinned meat with sweet, tangy condiment to create something genuinely delicious. Corned beef, that pressed mixture of beef and salt in distinctive tapered tins, became a British staple during both world wars when fresh meat was rationed. The combination with pickle, typically Branston, emerged in post-war years as perfect pairing that elevated tinned meat. The construction mattered enormously. Corned beef needed slicing carefully from the tin, about quarter-inch thick, then placed on buttered bread. The pickle went on liberally, its moisture and acidity cutting through the dense saltiness. Some added sliced onion, lettuce or tomato, but the core combination was corned beef and pickle. The sandwich appeared cold in packed lunches or fried until the corned beef crisped at the edges. The sandwich became deeply embedded in British food culture. The sandwich endured longer than many forgotten varieties because the flavour combination was actually good, not merely convenient. Branston pickle's chunky vegetables and spices complemented corned beef perfectly. From tinned beef to frozen fish, the next sandwich became a childhood staple that's somehow still going strong.
Finger sandwich.
The fish finger sandwich occupies a unique position.
Sorry, folks, just have to stop this for a minute. See a fish finger sandwich. In my eyes, a fish finger sandwich is good old-fashioned food. And also, I class it as therapy food as well. If you're feeling down, get yourself a fish finger sandwich. Egg and chips is my other one. Fried egg and chips is my other therapy food. But you, as we would say in Northern Ireland, you can't beat a fish finger sandwich.
As a forgotten sandwich that never quite disappeared. Fish fingers arrived in British shops on September 26, 1955, when Birdseye launched them from their great Yarmouth factory after female workers voted to call them fish fingers, rather than the unfortunate alternative, battered cod pieces. Priced at about 8p per packet, they solved a genuine problem. Many Brits avoided cooking fish at home due to lingering smells and fiddly bones. Fish fingers provided pre-cooked, boneless, smell-free fish. The sandwich emerged almost immediately. The standard construction involved 3 to 5 fish fingers between buttered white bread with a squirt of tomato ketchup or tartar sauce. Northern variations incorporated mushy peas or curry sauce. The sandwich quickly became a staple of children's tea times throughout the 1960s and 1970s. Fueled by Birdseye's introduction of Captain Birdseye in 1967. What's remarkable is its class evolution. Starting as convenience food, it gradually gained middle-class acceptance as nostalgic comfort eating. Jamie Oliver confessed it was his guilty pleasure. Over 15 billion fish fingers have been sold in Britain since 1955. From freezer staple to fridge regular, the next sandwich involved cheese and onion in beautifully simple combination. The cheese and onion sandwich represents British simplicity at its most effective. Strong cheddar, sliced onion, and bread created a lunch that required no cooking yet delivered enormous flavour. This sandwich emerged as a canteen and packed lunch staple throughout the 20th century, particularly popular in mining communities and industrial areas where strong flavours cut through the palate-dulling effects of dust and hard labour. The construction required judgment. The cheese needed cutting into proper slices rather than grating. Thickness mattered. The onion demanded slicing paper thin unless you wanted to frighten co-workers. White or brown bread worked equally well, always buttered generously. Some added pickle, tomato or lettuce, but purists insisted the cheese and onion needed nothing else. The sandwich appeared in factory lunchboxes, at building sites, and in school canteens where its pungent aroma announced itself. The sandwich became associated with British masculinity. It was unpretentious, practical, and didn't apologise for strong flavours. As pre-packaged sandwiches dominated lunch hours from the 1980s onwards, this sandwich faded from prominence. While cheese and onion kept it simple, the next combination brought Sunday roast leftovers to Monday's lunch. The beef and horseradish sandwich occupies the sophisticated end of forgotten British sandwiches, emerging from Sunday roast traditions when leftover beef needed consuming. This wasn't poverty food or convenience eating. This was proper ingredients assembled with thought, representing British roast beef culture at its finest. Horseradish sauce had been paired with beef in Britain since at least the 17th century. The ideal construction started with quality ingredients. Cold roast beef, preferably topside or silverside, sliced thin but not deli thin. Proper horseradish sauce, ideally homemade or from a decent brand like Coleman's, spread on buttered bread. Some added mustard, watercress or rocket, but the core pairing was beef and horseradish. The sandwich appeared on pub menus, at cricket club teas and in middle-class lunchboxes throughout the mid-20th century.
Again, I think that's more of a mainland sandwich of the UK. I wouldn't really see much of that here.
The sandwich's decline reflects changing British eating patterns more than any fault in the combination. Sunday roast became less universal as family structures changed. Beef became relatively expensive. Horseradish fell out of favour as blander international flavours dominated. From roast beef refinement to afternoon tea tradition, our final sandwich represented British gentility in edible form. The egg and cress sandwich represents the pinnacle of British tea sandwich refinement. Simple, light, and distinctly middle class.
Okay, so you maybe again on the mainland would have egg and cress, and you get egg and cress here too, but a big one here, folks, is an egg and onion sandwich. And that would be made with egg, onion, and mayonnaise. Other people, I know you would know that on the mainland as well, as egg mayonnaise, but a lot of people over here, I actually know people who would make it with egg, onion, mayonnaise, and a little tiny dollop of sour cream for extra taste. I like it like that, but that would be very popular here, and also a tomato sandwich as well.
Hard-boiled eggs combined with fresh cress created a sandwich that appeared at garden parties, cricket matches, and anywhere people wanted to demonstrate breeding without ostentation. The sandwich emerged during the Victorian era as afternoon tea culture developed, becoming standard alongside cucumber sandwiches. The preparation revealed its middle-class aspirations. Eggs needed hard boiling perfectly, no grey ring around the yolk. Once cooled, they'd be chopped finely and mixed with softened butter or minimal mayonnaise, seasoned lightly with salt and white pepper. Fresh cress, that peppery watercress or garden cress, went on liberally. The bread had to be fresh, white and sliced thin, with crusts removed and sandwiches cut into triangles. The result was extraordinarily light. These weren't meant to fill you up. The sandwich's decline reflects broader changes in British tea culture. As afternoon tea became less common, these refined sandwiches lost their everyday context. Yet it persists in certain circles. Cricket clubs still serve them. Traditional tea rooms include them. If you enjoyed this nostalgic trip through forgotten British food culture, click the link on screen to watch my video on the rise and fall of...
Okay, folks, so there you go. Just to let you know, if you want to maybe watch more videos like that, folks, that video came from dear old Blighty's YouTube channel, and maybe have another wee look at their videos because they do a lot of old stuff. Quite a few sandwiches not mentioned there, which I was actually surprised. I'm not going to name them all because I'm going to ask you to do something in a minute. I know they mentioned the fish finger sandwich there, but I didn't mention any of salmon. I didn't see any tuna mentioned. Is there any other sandwich that was left out that you like? Put it in the comments and let me know. Listen, I really enjoyed that. I really did. It takes you back, as to say, some of them were my favourites, some I could book. Like the Marmite. Now, Marmite I actually like. You can actually get a Marmite peanut butter now as well, which is nice. But as they say, it's like you either like it or you hate it, Well, so folks, thanks very much for tuning in to Chatterhouse today. Don't forget the Chatterhouse is a YouTube channel, but we're also a Facebook group as well called The Chatterhouse. If you want to check it out, the link is in the bio of this channel, and just nip over there. It is a private group, and the reason why it's private is because we do talk about a lot of serious things I would go live maybe once, twice a week. And we talk about all aspects of life, do community work and whatever. You're more than welcome to check it out. By the way, folks, if you're watching the Chatterhouse YouTube channel for the first time and you haven't done this, please consider doing so. It's totally free, and as you see there, hit the notification bell and you will be told every time a video is released. Once again, sorry I haven't been on much, folks, recently. To see you, I have been doing a lot of live stuff. You've probably seen those videos coming up, but I haven't done anything like this. Well, once again, I hope you've enjoyed this today. I will see you all very soon. Look after yourselves and stay safe. And if ever anything is on your mind, always remember communication is the key. See you later.